is up, you guys? Welcome back to Parallel Beats. I'm Matt. Thank you for stopping by my channel, and today's video is going to be all about high-pass filtering. We're going to start with what it is, and we're going to move on to how to use it and how not to use it. Let's hop into Logic.
Alright guys, so we're set up in Logic now in a session that is a remake of Roses by the Chainsmokers that I made a little while ago. I do apologize because I'm on a very old laptop. It's the only way that I could get you guys to hear my voice and what's coming out of my laptop, since the new MacBooks do not have a line in. Kind of a bummer, but as you can see, that's why I don't have any of these plugins registered on this laptop. There are no licenses, and we sadly do not have a Serum license on here. So I would play you the entire thing, but you're not going to hear anything. 90% of this was made in Serum. But the reason we are in here is because of a 12-string guitar track that I recorded just in my room here. It is a very home studio track, not recorded in a great space, but there is a way to make it sound great, and part of that is using a high-pass filter. For ease, we're going to be using Logic's stock EQ here. If you're using Logic, everyone has it, and I like to stress that to get great sound, you don't always need amazing stuff. All EQs do the same thing, and you don't need thousands of dollars worth of outboard gear to high-pass a track. That's the truth. I'm sure the outboard gear would sound better, but we can still high-pass a track with this default stock EQ. So I'm going to play you the raw track so we have something to work off of. So that's just a little loop that we have going on there. And I do recommend listening on monitors or earbuds or headphones, because it's going to be hard to hear the subtle differences that we're making with these EQ moves out of laptop or phone speakers. So opening up the channel EQ here, we can turn this on and let's see what we got going on here. Starting with the low pass filter, it is the one in red all the way on your left here. And there are three parameters. The top one is going to be your cutoff frequency. This means that at the cutoff frequency, the EQ is rolling off 3 decibels of your audio signal. Moving down to where it says 18 dB per octave here, this is usually called the slope. And what it literally is saying is that per every octave that you go down frequencies, so to the left on this visual representation, it'll reduce the audio signal by 18 decibels per every octave. And you can change that from 48 all the way down to 6. The last one down here is called the Q factor or quality factor, and this will change the resonance of your track. So as you can see right above the cutoff frequency, we could get some huge resonance if we wanted to, but for now, we are going to leave that relatively flat. So the reason that I'm making this YouTube video right now is because I recently saw a YouTube video saying that high-pass filtering make your mixes thinner and ruin your mixes, and that it has almost no good use, and I'm here to counter that. There are upsides to it and there are downsides to it. The reason I believe they were getting these results is because they were using an extremely high slope, around 48 decibels per octave as we have set here, and their cutoff frequency was just purely set too high. Yes, if you set the frequency too high, it will make your mixes thinner. It will take out all the low end, and I can show you that now. And you guys have to understand, this is just purely not what high-pass filters are mainly used for. 99% of the time that I'm using a high-pass filter, it's because I want to take out sub-frequencies that, one, don't contribute to the sound themselves. You wouldn't hear them in the mix, and they're also just taking up headroom and clashing with other low-frequency elements such as 808s or sub basses. I set up a second EQ to show you what is in the low end of this guitar track, and just by cutting out all of the highs, and we can check that out now. As you can tell, there's nothing appealing of the sound down here. that is exactly the kind of sound that would muddy up a mix, and we can use a high pass filter to take that out. Like I said, you don't want to push it too high. You want to make sure that you preserve the sound that you want out of your instrument, whether it be horns, guitar, vocals, anything. So let's check this out, and we're going to lower this slope here. As you increase slope, you will also increase distortion at the cutoff frequency, and you can hear that resonance as like I was sweeping up and down with 48 decibels per octave previously. So we're going to set this to about 18 decibels per octave, and this is a technique that I like to use where you want to make sure that your slope is hugging the frequencies that you want to take out. Like I said, 6 is not enough of a slope, because to cut out those low frequencies that you want to cut out, you're also cutting out into the musical content that you want to leave. And 48 decibels per octave would be slightly too much, because you want to make sure that you're getting as little phase distortion as possible. So let's set this to 18 decibels per octave and just slowly ride it up here, and you're going to hear that low end rumble that we saw from the previous EQ get filtered out. And you know what? I'm actually going to set this up to 24 decibels per octave here. Now in this track, this 12-string guitar is a purely textural element, so we don't need the ultra low end that you would want when you have a guitar-based acoustic track, ballad, something like that, where the guitar is the main element. This guitar in this track, you can barely hear it, so I don't want the low end muddying up and taking up more headroom than it needs to take up, because in the end, that's gonna prevent me from getting this entire track louder in the mastering process. So let's push up this slope to 48 decibels per octave, and I can show you an example of what slightly too much high passing or high passing at a cutoff frequency that is too high would sound like, because you're going to start hearing resonance, and it's not going to sound natural as that phase distortion comes in. And it's around at this point that we start to lose, that natural sounding musical element of this guitar. So let's lower this back down to 24. I think we had it around 140, 160, something like that. And let's play that. So like I said, whenever you high pass a track, there is going to be distortion, there's going to be phase distortion, but there are ways to minimize that, having the lowest slope possible to get the sound you want, and also making sure that the cutoff frequency isn't cutting into sounds that cut through in the track.
Now I hope that you can apply the tips that I've given you today to your own mixes, both to take away mud and to free up headroom to get your final master just a little bit louder. Just remember that high passing is an amazing tool that can better your mixes when used in the right way, but it can quickly make your mixes very thin and tinny if you're taking out too much of the low end, or if you're putting in resonant frequencies in the low end by having a slope that is too high or a cutoff frequency that is too high. Now, if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to support my music. Let me know in the comments any videos that you would like to see in the future, and until next time, peace.